All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another student interview. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Briar in here. Briar, you were one of Artisan Lab's first students. You joined on July 12th. I was looking today.
I think I
Actually,
was, wow, July 12th. I was student three. I got in and there was only two
wow,
other people before me.
awesome. So, bro, I remember when you jumped in, you were working a 9 to 5, and you just kind of shut down the content agency, if I remember correctly.
It was a ghostwriting agency.
Got it. And you were starting from scratch on the info side and getting it built back up. So if you could just give a little context on where you were then and kind of what your thought process was, even going into the info product space.
Yeah. Um, I'll go even go back just like a little bit. So like January through March, just 9 to 5. I was kind of trying to be like my own personal content creator, which was going horribly. And then March to July, I joined a ghostwriting course community,
Yeah.
and I thought that was the route. And so I was doing a lot of ghostwriting, copywriting, just a lot of email marketing is probably the easiest way to put it. Um, and it had like, I made 3 grand total from March to July. And this was kind of like the rise of school was getting hot and all these things. And so I was kind of riding that wave a little bit of like some of these guys I was doing email marketing for like didn't have a product. And so I was like, oh, I'll just also launch them a product. So I did that. That's where the transition to kind of Artisan Lab came in, where I was like, okay, I got the email marketing skills. I'll just learn how to also help them sell info. So that's
Hmm.
what was kind of going up, but it was like horrible. Like I said, 3 grand over 7 months. So yeah.
And what were you doing on the ghostwriting side? Like, was that writing tweets for them and email marketing or?
Yeah, I never did tweets. It would be like build a lead magnet, so like a 5-day email course. It would be um, some like monthly newsletters, a lot of like repurposing podcasts into PDFs that they would then use for a lead magnet. But um, yeah, that's actually what every single client was.
I feel like ghostwriting is like an old head Twitter offer that like doesn't really work anymore. I'm sure it can, and I'm sure people are crushing with it, but like it makes so much more sense to take that same skill set and just apply it elsewhere, as you've done and as you've seen
Yeah,
different results that you've gotten with it. Um, it is really interesting how like I'll see people come into Artisan Lab when they're in a position like you, if they come from they had a different agency or they already have an existing skill set. It's like just taking that and applying it in a better vertical. It's a world of difference. Like it's insane how much that vehicle matters. And you've definitely uncovered that over the last handful of months here.
yeah. The vehicle was like the biggest unlock for me, and I think like everyone has their own vehicle. Like I could have made it work somewhere else, but it's a mix of like vehicle and timing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And opportunity. It's like I got the vehicle right with then like in a short amount of outreach, got a couple of good clients. And so it was like a all encompassing tornado of like it just all worked at the same time.
Yeah. So let's talk about the outreach phase. Once you hopped into Artisan Lab, and I imagine I was like, okay, Briar, all you need to do is grind outreach and you'll get a couple clients. And I know you needed some direction on like the offer and what direction you were going to go in there as well. And so why don't we jump into that as far as like, okay, I'm moving into the info product space. Um, what do I want to pitch? Who do I want to pitch? How do I want to pitch them?
Yeah, there's like since being an artisan lab, I kind of have two chapters. And so I'll be curious how you want to kind of navigate this with this interview. But like there's the pre-content side where I was just going uh info. I was trying to be a growth operator. And then
Hmm.
the vehicle change to content strategy and scripting.
Yep.
And a lot of my outreach that I did on the front end actually ended up turning into clients on the second chapter.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I was spamming looms, spamming outreach. My goal was like 10 a day. I was probably hitting that 50% of the time. So that's maybe 30 to 40 looms a week. But then
Yeah.
I also had a friend where I was like, hey, if you just send emails, if you ever land a client, like I'll give you I think it was like 30% for the first month, 10% every month after that. And he
Mhm.
was doing 100 a month. And so
Oh,
we ended
wow.
up, we were doing in total for my business, probably close to like 200 outreaches a month. And it was going like good. We were getting a lot of leads, probably like 10% response rate, getting on calls. And then like, I just wasn't good at closing at the time. Like converted one guy into a sports offer, a coaching offer, which was absolutely atrocious, flopped.
Wrestling guy, yeah?
Wrestling guy, yeah. But this is actually a cool story. This is how I got one of my current clients. So for his offer, we were going to sell wrestling coaching, like basically film study for coaches. I go to one
Mhm.
of the local coaches that I drove to. It was like, hey, we're selling this. And he was like, I don't really want that, but I want you to do what you're doing for him, for me. And I was like, all right, sick.
Uh-huh.
That then just turned into content. So that's how I got one of my current clients. The other one was, and then from that guy, he wanted to build out a course. And so I reached out to Artisan Lab. Hey, would anyone build this funnel out? Because I was all in at content by this point. So when anybody
Mhm.
build this funnel out, Kaz in the community hopped in and was like, yeah, I'll build it. Kaz was doing ghostwriting for a client who now needed short form content. So Kaz introduced me, and that's actually my biggest client. So that was huge.
Yeah.
And then one of them was like a warm lead. So after like you just make content. So I started making content of my own stuff. And then your
Yeah.
friends start seeing it on social media. And they're like, oh, Briar's like the content guy now. So then like his like friend's sister needed content. So that was how that happened. And then the last one, this was like by far the coolest story, is there was a guy who runs a massive content marketing, well, really just a growth marketing agency. Works with like, he's actually friends with Oren. They do their course together. His name's Alex Garcia. If you go and find him on Instagram, it's Alex Garcia _ATX. And he has a big podcast, and he has an agency that crushes. Like they work with like 9-figure companies, like
Mhm.
massive companies. And he was looking for a marketing strategist. And I was like, how do I get through this noise? And so through the close friends Loom strategy that was in the lab,
Yeah.
I actually ended up applying for that position through him, through that strategy,
Uh-huh.
and got like a subcontracted role. So like I'm working with, this is my coolest client. I'm working with like, I'm building a content strategy right now for that will get into the hands of Joe Rogan, Dana White, and like the Nelk boys
That's
through one
sick.
of these companies. Like Deion Sanders, who's like the coach for Colorado football, the CrossFit Games. Like these are clients that I'm like literally sending stuff for as a subcontractor. Like I didn't go land these clients, but through
Mhm.
the outreach, I got that. So those are kind of like my 4 or 5 clients right there. And that's how there was no like core, just send an email, get on a call, land a client, except
Right.
for the wrestling coach, the first one, which was a long time ago, which was the growth operator that ended up flopping. So outreach has more than just one-to-one
Right.
return. It's
And
amazing.
isn't it funny how it all ends up kind of working out in some weird roundabout way that you could have
Yeah.
never possibly predicted, but because you were moving forward and because you were doing shit, the universe just works in your favor. Like
Yeah. I
things
call it an
just
orbit.
happen. Yeah.
Like this thing just starts happening. You just start sucking things, like they just start gravitating towards you.
Exactly. On the offer side, so how did you originally kind of structure the content offer, and then how has that evolved over time as well?
Yeah. So I was leaning just scripting, and then it turned out like I think people need the full stack content: strategy, ideation, scripting, editing, if they're local filming, and then
Yeah.
data reporting back. And I got this mostly from Cam Minier.
Yeah.
He pioneered a little bit of my thought process on this. He does long form. I primarily do short form.
Yep.
And so another huge thing was the position that I landed with Alex Garcia, where I'm working with a lot of these bigger clients. It's mostly strategy. So I didn't want to like not have strategy involved in my agency's offer.
hmm
So it's stuck the same. The only thing that's changed is pricing and packaging, just as I've gotten Like I stacked a couple of 1K retainers just to get out of survival mode. And now it's like, I'm probably not accepting anything lower than like 8, 6, 7, 8K.
That's
So,
awesome.
but nothing has changed. It's just strategy, ideation, scripting, filming if they're local, editing, data. So
Hmm. And what's your process look like on the fulfillment side? Like, are you doing everything hands-on? Like, how do you even go about getting ideas for them and then scripting the content? How has that kind of evolved over time as well?
yeah, this is like hard to like describe because a lot of it's just like mental, I don't know. But basically, we take their niche and we break out classic like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And I start just brainstorming series in my head. And I work everything on a weekly schedule. So it's like Monday will be a series, Tuesday will be a series, Wednesday will be a series. And then we do a 4-to-1 ratio for most people.
Hmm.
4 top of funnel, 2 middle funnel, 1 bottom of funnel. And basically what that means for anybody listening, top of funnel, we're trying to get a bunch of views. Middle of funnel, we're trying to educate and nurture them. Bottom of funnel, we're selling it like very blatantly.
Yeah.
So for an example, like for a guy that's doing crypto, a top of funnel is uh, journey to make $1 million off crypto in 30 days. Anybody will watch that. I'll watch that. I don't know anything about crypto. Middle of funnel is 3 tips to understand a bull market or something a little more specific. And then a bottom of funnel is I don't know if I should be, this is fine. He's sending out like 2 Comma Club award winners for his academy. And so we're highlighting student testimonials very similar to this, but with an award. And the goal is to always like provide education or entertainment in it, never just like a straight sell. So like even these awards, he's going to come in on the back end of that video, a 45-second video of them unboxing the 2 Comma Club, and then share 3 things that make that student better than the rest. So now it's education of like how to succeed. You're already framing future potential people in the academy of like, oh, these are the 3 things that succeed. So it's a lot of just idea. And
Hmm.
then that's the first call. We dial in strategy, and then I just script it. They film it, send it to me. I edit it, post it.
Yep. Awesome. You know, what I think is really interesting about your story and your journey is you took the existing skills that you have, and I'm sure things that you learned inside of Artisan Lab, and like you didn't directly apply it the way I have with my clients. And I think that's a really big thing because like, yes, I've made a lot of money building webinars with my clients, but that doesn't mean that that's exactly going to work for you because you might get different types of clients that need content or they need a VSL or they just need email marketing. So I think the most valuable thing here is just like understanding that, okay, I'm learning a business model, but basically I'm really just building a skill set. And that
Yes.
skill set is copywriting and
Yes.
content marketing or direct response marketing. And then whatever way the wind kind of blows you, that's the direction that you should end up going in. The wind blew me in the webinar direction. For you, it's content. And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people, a lot of beginners struggle with is like understanding that the journey is not going to be the same for everybody. And if you can kind of follow those when you get thrown a life raft and it's like, oh, maybe I should go in that direction, grab onto that and maximize that opportunity and see what happens there. That's when you end up in a position like you where you're able to charge $5,000 to $8,000 plus per month per client now because you've really carved out your niche, and that's not going to be the same for everybody.
Yeah. 2 things. One, it's like I had to quit thinking of myself as a growth operator. You said this, like, my goal is to be the best marketer in the world.
Yeah.
And then, however, whatever word you put on the front of that, digital marketer, email marketer, content marketer, whatever,
Yeah.
like that's fine. But my thought process was become the best marketer I can be until I find a vehicle. Now it's become the best content marketer in the world.
Yeah.
But then second, you always said like try a bunch of stuff until you get to 10K. Like say no to nothing. Say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Now I was actually getting opposite feedback, opposite advice on a different circle that I was in.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm really poor and I need everything. Okay. So I'm going to say yes to everything. But then what came out of that was the first word in my marketing, content marketing, right?
Mhm.
So I was trying growth marketing, I was trying, webinar marketing, whatever, email marketing, and then something stick. And for me, it's like the first thing that consistently made me a couple grand, and I just followed the money.
Mhm.
Like there's maybe this is a sign, maybe not that like ethereal or whatever, but it's like, oh, I'm making the most money here. I'm gonna double down and go that way.
Right. And I think that is interesting because it can be sound advice to just like, oh, let's have laser focus on one thing and try to get one specific type of client. If you if you kind of already have something that is pushing you in that direction. But it's
Yeah.
like, why not listen to the market? Like say yes to any opportunity and then whatever ends up working out best for you, then you use that to go balls to the wall in that direction. That's what I did. That's obviously what you've had success doing. And I think that's just the typical journey for anybody who kind of makes it in the agency world. Um, you kind of start somewhere and then you use that starting point to naturally find your niche.
I'm curious what you think about this. Like everyone probably has like a survival number whenever they first start, where it's like I need to make this or else I'm going to die. Like I have a wife and a kid and a
Yeah.
house, which is very different than the rest of Artisan Lab. And so like I had a number that I needed to make, or else
Yeah.
like my wife was probably gonna be like, you know what? I'm leaving. You suck. We're out of here, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like once I get above that line, which for me was about 6K, now I can get picky. Now I can start niching down. For some people, they just throw 10K out there, which I think is a great like do anything to get scrappy to 10K
Yeah.
and then start getting that ICP, get that perfect client, get that perfect client, get that perfect offer. And then because you're not starving anymore. Like you can
Mhm.
say no to stuff.
Right.
Like it's so much freeing to be able to say no to stuff, but you can't do that unless you get out of survival mode.
Right.
Would you agree with that kind of concept?
Totally. It is that training camp phase. It is like where you're saying yes to everything. You're doing a lot of work. You're kind of underpaid based on the amount of work that you're doing,
Yeah.
but you're learning so much. And then you're naturally finding what you're best at and where the opportunities lie. And then once you get clarity on that, you have a more clear direction on where you can go to scale. It's like, you're just going to be blindly throwing paint at the wall in the beginning. And if you if you just want one color of paint to stick and you're just like, "Oh, I need the red paint to stick on the wall." And then you just get tied to that. It's what if blue works? What if yellow
Right.
works?
Right.
Well, I think again, it's just like a really, really good example for you of, adapting to what the market tells you is in need and also where your skill set lies. Like everybody's different. Everybody's naturally gonna have different skill sets and you're good at content. Maybe somebody else who hops in Artisan Lab is gonna be better at everything on the back end. They're gonna be better at
Right.
systems. So you do just kind of have to say yes to everything, get as many opportunities as you can, and then once you get some leverage, once you're making some money, then you can start to get picky. But we're all in the business of making money. Like I
Right.
remember when I was screaming at everybody in Artisan Lab, like you're not a growth operator, you're not a info product agency owner, you're in business to get rich. You're a marketer. Make money however the fuck you can, and then once you find that natural niche, then you can follow that. And you've done an amazing job of that.
Yeah. And I think like once you find it, that's whenever you have to fight the shiny object syndrome.
Hmm.
Like now you have to be relentless. Like my thought process now is I'm not ever leaving content marketing.
Yep.
Like if becomes very clear down the road, but
Right.
I'm not even thinking that way.
Right.
Like people popping up with a whole new rebrand on Instagram. They were promoting one thing a couple months ago. Now it's this whole new vehicle. Like that's
Yep.
maybe that works, but it's like get out of survival mode, figure out what it is, and then now you fight the shiny object syndrome. Stay committed, work through it.
Right. And that's what's going to allow you to scale is now getting as good as you possibly can at this one thing. And then, let's say down the line you get to 50 or 100K a month with the content agency, and then you're like, okay, I could teach this. I could either teach personal branding or I could teach people how to build a content agency. And now you build your own personal brand and you're in a position where you can make money selling your own info. Like it's the
Yep.
natural progression of an entrepreneur. But like for me to be able to sell Artisan Lab, I had to get to a 6 figures a month inside of my agency before I even felt comfortable selling this offer. So because I stuck through that and I got really good results for all of my clients, then I reached a point where I can sell some of my own coaching. But it's impossible to do that if you're constantly jumping from one thing to the next.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, awesome, man. For everybody listening, if you could just share, I have two final questions for you. What was your income from agency when you first joined Artisan Lab, and where are you at now? And then question number two to that is, what do you think the one thing is that has helped you get to that new number?
So I started the year with a $3,000 9 to 5. Like that was it. Had a kid in March and knew that a lot had to change to get, yeah, just more financially stable. Since October, from October to December to now, maybe September to now, I've passed 20K. So like a month. This month I'll have crossed 20K. So, and the number one thing that got me there was like time and market. I'm gonna do two things. I'm sorry. Like just
I'd probably answer the same way because it's almost never just one thing. It's like
yeah,
an amalgamation of a couple things.
yeah. And these are like super non-tactical, but like just staying in the game for a long time, like just stuff pops up. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep sending outreach, keep posting content, keep getting better and better. And like shit will just fall into place. I don't know
Yep.
what it's gonna be, but like it'll just be clear. The second thing is like actually trying to become like actively trying to become the best marketer, copywriter, like on the planet. Like that's where I'm taking myself. Like I literally, this is so gay, but this is what I do every morning. Okay. I just wake up and I listen to Kobe motivational stuff for like an hour. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't even read books in the morning. And I'm thinking of myself, him playing basketball is just me being a marketer. And I'm trying to become like this most cutthroat marketer of all time. And then I'm also doing the studying. I'm literally analyzing. I do script copy work. Like I'll print off a high performing script that got over 1 million and I'll write down word for word what it was, trying to feel what the person was writing and why it was so good. Why did it go viral? Like people, even in Artisan Lab, I don't think a lot of people have that level of like dedication to a craft. And I'm probably making this a little bit more like dramatic than it needs to be, but that's just how I operate. And so
I love it.
I don't know. Those are the two things.
I love it, man. That's those are awesome tips. And I remember that phase as well, like where I was just obsessed with funnels. I was obsessed with VSLs. And like I, all of my free time was spent scrolling through Instagram and finding new funnels to go through and funnel hack. And like I felt like such a nerd when I was doing that. But you just have to expose yourself to so much of what's working so that it
Yeah.
begins to come natural for you. And then like that's when you become a wizard at whatever your craft is. For you, it's content. For me, it was writing emails and writing VSLs. I can knock them out in 30 minutes and it'd be a really good cohesive email or VSL. And I'm sure you're getting the same way with content because you are just addicted to that craft. Shout out Kobe.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Briar, thank you so much, bro. This has been a great interview and you've inspired me as well. It's been amazing to see you grow and nobody else deserves it more than you, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Artisan Lab will change you guys' life. Click the link in the bio
Yes, sir.
or somewhere.
Thank you. Much love, brother. Thank you.